The life of Mr. Popo. Mr. Popo is an assistant deity who serves as the attendant to Earth's guardian. He also tends the grounds of the lookout. Although he is bound there eternally as a gardener and caretaker, he can instantaneously travel anywhere in the world when the occasion calls for it by using a magic carpet. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Mr. Popo. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Early life. Mr. Popo was born in the Otherworld at some point in the distant past. Sometime later, he was sent to Earth to become the attendant to each successive guardian of the planet. By the time of Dragon Ball Z, Popo was over 1,000 years old. Piccolo Jr. Saga. Although his skill as a martial artist is not shown frequently, Mr. Popo is an excellent martial arts master. When he is introduced in Dragon Ball, his fighting prowess is far superior to Goku's in nearly every respect when the two first meet at the lookout. After defeating King Piccolo, Goku uses his power pole to reach Kami's lookout. When Goku first reaches Kami's lookout in the anime, he encounters Mr. Popo seated on a Persian rug, likely the same one he uses to fly with in Dragon Ball Z, with what appears to be a light fog covering him and birds on his shoulders. After they greet each other in battle, Goku, having put up a good fight, attempts to launch a Kamehameha attack at Mr. Popo, but the attendant counters by literally swallowing the blast whole. Goku then tries to defeat Mr. Popo by using the punch that beat King Piccolo, but the demigod evades it without difficulty. Mr. Popo introduces Goku to Kami, whose physical similarity to Demon King Piccolo causes the young Saiyan to launch a failed attack. Afterward, Mr. Popo and Kami explain their history to Goku, detailing how King Piccolo came to exist. Mr. Popo then trains Goku for the next 3 years, teaching the young warrior a multitude of techniques, including training him to sense ki without using his vision. He does this by blinding Goku while telling him to follow a cat with a bell on its tail. Having finished his training under Mr. Popo, Goku enters the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament with the hope of defeating Piccolo Jr. using his newly acquired abilities. Some of the techniques Goku developed in his 3-year training under Popo would later prove quite valuable, including Ki Sense and Super Kamehameha. Saiyan Saga. 5 years later, Mr. Popo and Kami train Krillin, Tien Shinhan, Yamcha, Chiaotzu, and Yajirobe in order to help combat the approaching threat of the Saiyans, through many different training methods including the Pendulum Room, intending to show the full power even the lower-class Saiyans used to possess. Mr. Popo and Kami come to the realization that Piccolo has become far less evil than he was 5 years ago, when they notice that Raditz' soul, who was killed by Piccolo, did not become lost like other souls killed by demons. When Nappa and Vegeta arrive on Earth, Mr. Popo and Kami observe the battle from the lookout, with Mr. Popo constantly in worry that Piccolo will die, and thus Kami will perish also. When Piccolo is killed in battle, Mr. Popo is in total despair as he watches Kami die and disappear, making the Dragon Balls non-functional and losing a good friend. Frieza Saga. After Vegeta's defeat and retreating, Mr. Popo helps Bulma, Krillin, and Gohan get to the planet Namek by telling them about Kami's old spaceship when they were at Wukong Hospital. He then shows Bulma the location of the spaceship at Yunzabit Heights by using his magic carpet, and teaches her the Namekian language so they can go to Namek and use their Dragon Balls to revive their other fallen friends, including Piccolo, which could also bring Kami and the Earth Dragon Balls back. After Kami's resurrection, Mr. Popo collects the Dragon Balls on Earth in less than 1 day to resurrect all those who were killed by Frieza and his soldiers on Namek as part of King Kai's plan to save those on Namek, excluding Frieza and Goku from the planet's explosion. In the anime, Mr. Popo is attacked by the Spice Boys while watering the plants on the lookout. He's sealed in a glass bottle by Garlic Jr. Later, he is released by Krillin and Piccolo. He takes Kami to the bottom of the lookout to spread the sacred water where the former Guardians' graves lie. He later spreads the sacred water to the earth. Cell Saga. 3 years later, Mr. Popo bids Kami a final farewell when Kami permanently fuses with Piccolo to become the Nameless Namek, in order to gain more power to combat the androids who are wishing to murder Goku. He later leads Goku, Gohan, future Trunks, and Vegeta to the hyperbolic time chamber for a year of training in 1 day. Later, he observes the Cell games on Kami's lookout with the new guardian of the Earth, Dende. Majin Buu Saga. 7 years later, after everyone else runs out of ideas to do the fusion dance, Mr. Popo comes up with the idea of having Trunks and Goten perform the dance. The family and friends of the Dragon Team take refuge from Majin Buu on Kami's lookout. Only in the anime, Mr. Popo has a brief match with Goten and Trunks in their Super Saiyan forms. During the fight, he blocks several hits and even dodges a kick. After Goten manages to kick him once, he appears uninjured, proving him a far stronger character than others assume he is. Mr. Popo also observes the fusion of Trunks and Goten. A day later, Super Buu finds the lookout and allows them to live for a short time. While there, Super Buu used his human extinction attack to kill all the people on Earth except for Mr. Satan, his dog Bee, Tien, Chiaotzu, and the family and friends on the lookout. When Buu escapes from the hyperbolic time chamber, Mr. Popo and the rest are turned into chocolate and eaten. However, before he was turned into chocolate, after seeing the murders of Krillin, Android 18, and their daughter, Popo bravely makes a quick decision, seizing Dende and hurling him off the lookout out of Buu's rampage. He's commended for his bravery by Piccolo when the Namek comes across the surviving Dende. Mr. Popo is later revived and gives his energy to help Goku make the Super Spirit Bomb to destroy Kid Buu. He greets Dende warmly when he and the others arrive back on Earth. Golden Frieza Saga. About 5 years after the encounter of Majin Buu in age 779, Mr. Popo is watching over Piccolo with Dende because he has died by the hands of a newly revived and powerful Frieza. He is killed when the planet explodes, but Whis uses his temporal do-over technique to undo the damage, reverting Mr. Popo's death in the process. Universe 6 Saga. Sometime after the battle with Golden Frieza, Mr. Popo and Dende are playing tennis on the lookout while Goku and Vegeta are in the hyperbolic time chamber training, which was fixed by Dende. Future Trunks Saga. At the lookout, Mr. Popo and Dende witness Vegeta destroying the time chamber after his second loss to Goku Black and Future Zamasu, due to the fact that if you enter again after 2 times, the door will be permanently shut. The destruction of the time chamber created a huge crater in Lookout. Universe Survival Saga. When Vegeta is about to enter the hyperbolic time chamber again to train hours before the Tournament of Power, Mr. Popo tells Vegeta he'll be banned if he destroys it again. Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga. Back at the lookout, Popo is present when Piccolo and Dende sense something bad happening on New Namek, and here's when Piccolo tells Dende that a few days ago he stopped being able to sense Goku and Vegeta's energy signature on Earth, and that they must have traveled to New Namek because of this. When trying to use telepathy to contact the Namekians in New Namek, Piccolo tells Dende and Popo that he didn't get any signal from them, concluding that something terrible must have happened in space that the Namekians got involved in, and the Namekians capable of telepathy are dead. After Piccolo leaves to investigate the situation when sensing 3 people in space approaching Earth that may have something to do with the terrible situation happening in space, Mr. Popo and Dende are soon met by Bulma and Mr. Satan, who are looking for Piccolo to recruit for the Galactic Patrol. Unbeknownst to Dende and Popo why the Galactic Patrol wants to recruit Piccolo, they are told by Jaco about the whole situation regarding Moro through a communicator that Bulma borrowed from Tights. Dende decides to leave with Bulma and Mr. Satan to find Piccolo after finding out from Jaco that the 3 people Piccolo sensed approaching and confronted actually have something to do with the terrible situation happening in space, while Popo decides to stay behind at the lookout. Black Star Dragon Ball Saga. 5 years after the 28th World Martial Arts Tournament, Mr. Popo prepares to restore the lookout after Goko and Ub finish their intense training and damage the place almost entirely. Baby Saga. Later, Mr. Popo along with Dende are infected by Baby and later attempt to assault Kibito Kai, who travels to Kami's lookout in order to get the sacred water to cleanse the human race of Baby's parasites. After being cured, he remains as a background character for most of the show. Shadow Dragon Saga. He is last seen during the flashback montage sequence in the final episode. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.